Okay, go ahead and give us your first name.
My first name is Wilton.
Okay, let me ask you this. And you were factually incarcerated with one of the Texas 7?
Yes, I was. In fact, I was incarcerated with all 7 of them.
Okay, well, let's talk about the leader of the 7, which was Rivas.
Yes, Rivas.
Tell them about your first encounter with Rivas.
When I first met Rivas, at the time, it was...
Well, no, what were you doing? What were you doing?
At the time, I was working over in, I had worked in maintenance.
Okay.
And I just got fired from maintenance.
Okay, and then when did you meet him? You were in maintenance and you met him?
No, actually, I got transferred over to the compound kitchen.
Okay.
On the John B. Collin unit. John B. Collin unit.
Okay.
I was working in the kitchen. And Rivas, he was...
how did he approach you? How did he approach you, Wilton?
He heard that, when I first met him, he heard that I sold stamps real cheap.
Okay.
And, because I, at the time...
Now, how did he approach you the first time? How did Rivas make contact with you?
Oh, he just comes up to me. He said, "Hey, man, you Southwest?" At the time, my nickname, they called me Southwest because I'm from Southwest Houston.
Okay.
And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" He's like, "Yeah, man, Lizard, Newberry, which is one of the Texas 7.
Okay.
He had 99 years for a murder charge, and Newberry had turned him on to me, told him that I sold stamps real cheap.
Okay.
And so whenever Rivas approached me, he asked me, he said, "Hey, you Southwest?" I'm like, and I told him, "Yeah." And he was like, "Hey, man, I heard you sell stamps." I was like, "Yeah, how many you need?" And he said, "Man, look, I'm going to be a regular customer. You know, I'm going to need 100 stamps a week. You know, don't worry about your money." I was like, "Cool." And I mean, I guess
100 stamps a week.
Yeah, because at the time I was hustling out the kitchen.
But he wanted to buy 100 a week.
Yeah.
What would he do?
He was writing people overseas, and it costs.
Okay.
Money. Well, stamps. It takes 3-4 stamps to send mail overseas. And at the time, he had pen pals all over Europe. And
but how did your continued business association with him? Did it ever lead you to believe that he would turn out to be the leader of the Texas 7 to break out of the prison?
In fact, because I mean, Rivas, he was kind of a tall Hispanic guy, about 6'2", wore glasses, he looked like a Ted Cruz. Okay. And looked real professional.
And how did he speak?
I looked real nerdy.
How was his?
Well spoken.
Oh, he was well spoken
for Hispanic background. You know, well spoken. You know, his English was he spoke good English, and I mean, I would have never imagined when I found out that he was part of the Texas 7. In fact, that he orchestrated.
Okay, now let's stop there. Where were you at when you were in the same prison that he was in when it happened?
The day it happened, I was in the kitchen. Okay. It was count time. And I had to wait till count cleared. I was in 3 chow hall. 3 chow hall, where it faces, it's right by the street. You got your chow hall, then you have, in front of the chow hall, you got 3 chow hall, 4, then you had 7 and 8. And in front of the chow hall, there's like a courtyard where they had church. The Mike Barbara ministry would come and do things for us. And so, the day that happened, count was taking a long time to clear. And I was sitting in 3 chow hall looking out the window waiting for count to clear, mind you, because I had, contraband on me. I had, hamburgers and cheese that I had. Oh, so that's considered contraband inside. Contraband,
okay,
yes,
okay.
Because I appropriated from the state of Texas.
I understand.
The kitchen commissary.
Okay.
And so I'm waiting for count to clear. Next thing I know, I'm looking out the window. I see a mass, a lot of people coming out of the one building, which is the administration building, where all the warden secretaries, and all the wardens are at. And it's like 20 guards that just comes running out. Personnel and free world tire, and they just start running towards the back gate. And in order to get to the back gate, you have to go past 3 child and go to what they call a turnout, which is behind, it's on the side of the kitchen, and it leads to the back of the kitchen, which goes out to the back gate of the compound. And they ran out because it was the ambulance. I was like, man, something's going on. I said, something's going on. And so when I get up from my seat, I run back to my where I worked at, my job department over in the kitchen commissary. I told my supervisor, Officer Stockton, hey, we got a truck, Stockton. We got a truck back there. He's like, for real? I was like, yeah. I just wanted him to come open the gate to let me in so I could run to the back dock and see what's going on. And he comes open the gate. I take off. I run down a little hallway that leads to the back dock where we unload trucks for the kitchen commissary and the unit supply.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, I see an ambulance. I see, like 25 guards. They're all in the back. Come to find out, that hit the Texas 7 was born.
Now, who told you at that time that it was actually Rivas and the other 6 that had broken out? What was that moment that hit you where just you felt it straight to the gut that the person you had been doing the stamp business with on a weekly basis had just
escaped?
That had just accomplished.
I was shocked.
But who told you?
Later on that evening, they had us on lockdown. They locked down the whole institution, right? Everybody up in their cell. And it was later on that night they come around and told us that we were on lockdown because somebody had escaped. And I think it was maybe a day or 2 later when I actually found out it was Rivas along with Newberry, Murphy, and the other 4 guys, Garcia, Rodriguez, and it's one more, which I never met that guy. He was the one, the half Asian, half Caucasian that killed himself. And,
so you never met him while you were in there.
Because he didn't get to the unit, and he didn't start working maintenance till well after I was gone.
Okay, so you were surprised that it was actually Rivas.
I was surprised that it was Rivas because when I did find out it was him, and then the others that was with him, I was like, weren't they Christians? They had Bibles. They set up Bible studies every night doing their thing. And for 2 years, this is what everybody all you would see was them getting together, talking about Christ, saving people, and just doing good deeds. So I couldn't believe it.
But were you more shocked that it was an escape of so many inmates at one time?
Yeah, because here in Texas, you just don't see that. 7.
At one time.
At one time.
But they said that in that maintenance room that Rivas and his co-conspirators they had locked up 6 or 7 employees.
They did.
How many did they?
During the time they did what they did, they were on lunch break. So, but it was a couple of guys, Rivas one of them, along with the other, Murphy, Newberry, Garcia, they all stayed back. They didn't go to lunch. Because a lot of times they didn't do lunch because it interfered with, with work. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because we got all day to go to, if we worked with a certain supervisor, they'd take us to the kitchen and get us something to eat. But this particular day, they just stayed in the shop. All the other guys that work maintenance in other departments, the plumbing, welding, door crew, they went to lunch. So Rivas, Murphy, and all of them, they stayed back with the other, giving them an impression that they had work to do.
Okay.
All right, but
now let's hold there because we're going to break this up into different chronicles. Okay, so we'll stop there, but let's say this. Do you want to let the viewers know, Wilton, what was your length of complete stay at one time in TDC, in prison?
Yes, well, I did 32 years flat.
32 years. So you went in. You went in what date?
I went in. Well, actually, I got incarcerated in Harris County Jail on November 29th of 1990.
And you got released what date?
I got released October 18th of 2022.
So we'll close this chronicle of Mr. Rivas, and then we'll move on in the next ones to come. In the next following months, we'll move on to the other members of the Texas 7 that you were aware of, that you were familiar with.
Believe me, it's a fascinating story.
Okay. Thank you so much, Wilton. Yeah.